does it mean that the most abundant organism on Earth by far are viruses? This is why I call the book A Planet of Viruses. If you want to add up organisms, and I consider viruses organisms, viruses are way at the top of the list. What does that mean? Well, one of the things it means is that viruses are planetary forces. So here's another example of viral time. Viruses are continually infecting microbes in the ocean. There's a vast number of infections that are happening every second. And in many of those cases, they are making lots of copies inside those bacteria and then blowing up the bacteria to get out. And they're dumping all the carbon inside of the bacteria into the ocean. Viruses kill half of all the bacteria in the ocean every day. Now, what happens is that carbon, scientists don't really know because they've just figured this math out in the last few years, and they're saying, wait a minute, this is incredible. This is a colossal amount of carbon. Now, some of it is probably sinking down to the ocean floor. Some of it might actually be fertilizing the growth of microbes in the upper ocean. It's probably having a huge effect on a lot of different things. One of the things maybe is climate, because by screwing up the carbon cycle, as it were, they're affecting how much carbon that the ocean can absorb from the atmosphere, and thereby helping to set the climate, because in the atmosphere, the carbon dioxide is trapping heat. Scientists can't say, if it wasn't for viruses, the Earth would be so many degrees warmer or colder, because there are many complex effects of these viruses. We just don't know yet, but we know it's got to be big. Now, the other weird thing about viruses in the ocean, and this is something I'll get to in more detail in a second, is that not all the viruses are killing their hosts. A lot of viruses actually regularly insert their genes into a microbial host, and that's it. They just hang out. Now, they can still every now and then make new viruses and pop out if they need to, but pretty much they're along for the ride. And when these viruses go from host to host, they can sometimes pick up host genes and carry them along with them. And then after a while, they can create kind of a whole kind of shopping cart full of genes, which they can bring to a new host. And there are actually some viruses floating around the ocean that carry a whole bunch of genes for photosynthesis. Now, they can't photosynthesize on their own. What they do is they go and they find a bacterium, they infect it, they insert their genes into the microbe, and all of a sudden, the microbe turns green in the sense that it can now photosynthesize. It couldn't before. When it gets infected, it can start harvesting sunlight. And it's believed that about 10% of the photosynthesis in the ocean is produced this way. Penny Chisholm from MIT has been studying these bacteria and the viruses that infect them. And she has just found that this is happening around the world. So in every breath you take, you are breathing in some oxygen from viruses.